and hopefully when you're free you can join in. So you're welcome, everyone. And so I'm going to give you a brief about BA, and I'm also going to hear from you what you think this concept is all about, right? So BA, uh, fast moving careers right now in the world. And if you're very, very familiar with technology, with IT, with projects, with trends in the project space, you're going to be very familiar with the three new trends now. One is business analysis, one is Chrome, the third is product owner. These three guys, right? They are they are the top prime jobs right now, especially outside the shores of Nigeria. Right. So if you're hoping to relocate in the future, you need to have these three skills. Fortunately for me, I'm a certified business analyst. I'm a certified Scrum Master. I'm a certified product owner. So and I'm also a practicing BA. My core area is in SAP and ERP and finance and other modules. So basically, you need to plan to not just after this session or after the training, take it further. You can go for the certifications. We can, support you to do that, or you take up other courses, like Scrum, like product owner, you know, in fact, if you go to the internet, just Google these jobs, and you're going to see their demand. It's like everything now. So it's a skill that is worthwhile, and I encourage you to take it up from here if you can. So moving into this class, I'm just going to ask a question. We have what we want to learn before our screen. It's called business analysis, right? And there are a lot of but the business analysis we're looking at today is business analysis that is tilted towards projects, not business analysis that is tilted towards data analysis, and all that, right? So I'm just going to ask anybody, when you hear the word business analysis, what comes to your mind? I really want to know what you're expecting, so that we can guide you towards that. Probably just 2 3 seconds. So Helen, when you hear business analysis, what comes to your mind? What are you expecting? Helen, are you there? Okay. Vivian, what
Can you
comes to
hear
your...
me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Business analysis, analysis itself is so critically study something, analyze. How will I break it
Okay.
down now?
You have broken it down already. Critically study something. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's what it is. So okay, so that's a very good one. Okay, Chiku, when you hear the word business analysis, what comes to your mind?
Um, Basically, is identifying a problem and providing solutions to it.
Okay, okay. Critically looking into something. Yeah. So thanks for that. That is also a very good explanation. Just the last person, Vivian, what comes to your mind when you hear the word business analysis? Feel free. I mean, it's not, we're not in an exam.
That for
Vivian,
me.
yeah, yeah, Harold. Okay, Harold, please, you can help us.
So basically, there are usually requirements to every every business,
Okay,
requirements to every project,
okay,
and it cuts across costing, um, customer side,
Okay.
external, internal,
Okay.
management, the reason why that project or that business exists, and
Okay.
everything that has to do with both operations and the outcome of the operations, which is what is like a product that an organization would sell
Okay.
to generate revenue. Now,
Okay.
um, a complete overlook, a complete look at the entire processes, or at
Okay.
looking at a particular segment of the business that would be required to maybe improve a process, to generate revenue, to create a new product or anything, a
Yeah.
holistic and an analysis on it, and the best way to be able to develop that product or that department or whatever reason that process is being developed for, the critical analysis of it to ensure that it
Okay.
meets all the necessary requirements, and a constant reevaluation of those processes to ensure it meets the need and the requirement for what it is being created for.
Wow. 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 Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was very, very, very in depth and very, very apt, right? And I like you. One of the ways I learn, one of the ways I learn when I'm in a training is to see how I can apply it to just try to relate it to something you do or something you're involved in. And when you do that, when you try to explain it like that, it gives you that insight. So thank you for that very deep point about BA. So let's go in and look at what business analysis is all about. I won't actually tell you what it is, but as we move in the class, we're going to see what's all about and how business analysis can actually improve how we can. So the two things you get from this class is number one, right? Business analysis is a career. It's something you can do as a job. Like we have people that they are employed as business analysts, right? They are in every project, right? So whatever you're doing now, I think that what matters in this day and age is to have skills that are relevant to the time, right? So I am somebody who have switched careers. I have a background in accounting and finance. I've shifted to the ERP space. If I see something that is also very good, I'll shift. I mean, the most important thing is to have skills that are relevant to the period, right? So um, I'm also seeing BA as a career. So you can actually have it as a full-time career. You can leverage on your current experience, and if you enjoy the concept and you want to be in projects, you want to provide solutions to problems, why not? I mean, BA is a very, very good space for you, right? So let's look at what it is. Now, before we go into the concept of what business analysis is, we need to understand what a business is, right? So because it's a word that is co-joined, so we will just briefly, like I said, this is the introduction, so we might not be going into any deep concept today, but we're going to be learning basically the foundation about business analysis. Now, basically, a business is defined as an organized economic activity wherein the exchange of goods and services takes place for adequate consideration. So basically, anything you do that involves the exchange of, it could be goods, it could be service, it could be ideas, it could be technology, it could be information, it could be innovation. Basically, a business there has to be an exchange between different parties, right? So you need to understand that about a business, and of course, business also involves adequate consideration. So between the parties, one will have to be parting ways for the other one to. I mean, it's like a give and take relationships, right? So why I need to bring this concept in is because you will understand BA when you understand what a business is, because BA is about really solving business needs. So if you don't understand what a business is, then it looks like a concept that we all know, but sometimes you need to remind yourself of the definition. Now, it includes all those activities whose sole aim is to make available the desired goods and services to the society in an effective manner. So the aim is to make available desired goods and services. The aim of a business is to proffer solutions, to provide services, and to provide goods. So if you're doing any of this, for example, what I'm doing now is a business because I am providing some form of service and there is adequate consideration for it. And of course, it's going through some form of activity, right? So that's what a business is. So for you to understand, so if you bring in the term analysis, you can now see that it makes a whole lot of sense when you say the word business analysis. Because I mean, when you have, so in the process of offering this service, you need to, like Helen said, you need to look deeper into, you need to analyze your activities. Okay, am I making profit? At what point am I making profit? Who the client I'm offering a service to? Who are the stakeholders? Am I the service I'm offering, is it meeting the desired needs of that client? And all that. So all those are analysis, right? Trying to look deeper into the kind of service you're offering and if it meets a specific need, right? So that is basically what a business is. So some of the characteristics of a business, right, is what you have on the screen. Like I've pointed out, there would be an economic activity, which would be that you're engaged in something. You are either offering a goods or a service. When you say you're in business, there is selling. Selling takes place. Business, when you say you're in business, is it might when the word business means there is continuity. So when somebody, let's say an ordinary person has a phone today and the phone is not good and he wants to sell the phone and he sells the phone, that doesn't make that person a businessman, right? Business means that there is continuity in dealing. It's just a sale, but business will involve that there is a going concern, especially when you come to the finance side. Then you expect to make profits in the business, right? There is some elements of risk. You might succeed, you might not succeed. So that's one of the characteristics of a business. There's also the uncertainty about return. You might invest and not get back. For those who invested in all these other crypto and the rest of them, you might not get your return back. So that's an element of uncertainty. There is legal and it's lawful. So if you are an armed robber, you're not in business. So what you're doing has to be legal and lawful within the laws of the land, and you should be meeting some kind of satisfaction. So why I'm taking my time to explain the characteristics of a business is because the concept we're trying to learn is about business. It's about meeting clients' requirements. It's about meeting the requirements of the person you're servicing, right? So before you can meet the requirement, you need to know why, you need to understand that your client is in business and these are the expectations, or these are and of course, customer satisfaction is one of the characteristics of why they are in business. So you also have to be very much aware of that, right? So I don't know if we have any questions at this point. If you please, if you have, you can just raise your hand. I'm going to call you. Okay. Okay, so we have looked at the concept of business. We know what a business is. I'm assuming we know what a business is. Then we're going to look at the word analysis, right? So basically, analysis is the process. Let me leave that, right? Let me take my slide back. So I want to ask. Patience, what when you hear the word analysis, what comes to your mind?
Analysis is to analyze something, right? Like what Okechukwu said. Critically looking to something, you analyze the goods the pros and cons of a business. You understand? You plan. It takes a whole lot of team when you're analyzing. Physically study, also studying the market, what the people want, and also look if you're going to make profit. Studying also maybe people that are doing the same kind of business you want to go in line with. So you analyze all this and take all this into factors, so you to know if this business will profit you or not.
Okay, so thank you very much. So analysis could be like well said, is to look deeper into something. So let's look at a more detailed definition, right? Analysis is the process of breaking a complex topic or substance into smaller parts in order to gain better understanding of it. Does this make sense to you by definition? Helen, Patience, okay, does this make sense?
Yeah.
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 Yes, that's
It's agile process.
So analysis is breaking down a complex topic or substance into smaller parts to gain better insight or better understanding of it, right? So that's what analysis is. So analysis, before you do analysis, something looks very vague. It looks like so let's say let me bring it down. Let's say you have a spouse, or you have you're in a relationship, and sometimes you say the person is difficult to understand, right? Sometimes you say you can't understand somebody, or you can't understand something. Okay, so what that means is that you need to analyze this person before you can really understand something that is difficult. You need to analyze that situation or that topic. So what do? You ask yourself certain questions, right? This person, you start by the known to the unknown, like how old is he, where is he from, who are his parents. So basically, when you take this person to your parents or to your guardians and you say you want to marry this person, they start asking questions. These questions: what are your in-laws doing? They are trying to analyze this person, in the sense that they want to know briefly who this person is. So because to them, they don't know the person, so the person is like a complex. The person looks, they don't have no idea. And when you don't have an idea about something, the next thing you need to do is to analyze it. And really, this is what business analysis is all about, guys. There is no, I think if you understand it at this point, then you understand business analysis. In fact, you understand everything we are going to teach, we are going to go throughout this session. On the understanding that as a business analyst, you are supposed to break down things. You're not supposed to make things complex. So I'll give you an example. I'm in a project with one of the IOCs as oil servicing companies, and every day when I go to work, I solve problems. Like, you would see an error from from a software, or you would see. I'm going to be using this because I'm more into the IT space, but I'm going to try to make it very as generic as possible. Or even in your company, there might be a problem. The problem might be, why is the gen always packing up? Or why is this person always coming late? Or why didn't they increase your salary? All these it's a topic. And as a business analyst, your work is not to be asking these questions. Your work is supposed to be breaking down these questions in order to get answers. So when users have issues with processing information in the ERP we use, they reach out to us consultants. And what do? You have to analyze. How do you analyze? You look at the subject and you start asking questions. And in business analysis, that is where the work of a BA starts. So, like I said, this class is going to be very practical because I'm also a practical BA. Like I do BA like every day, right? So I'm going to use a scenario. Let's say that a company has approached you and they say that they are using a particular, they want to start using a particular service. I think Vivian works with Airtel or any other telecommunication service, or Stanley works with a recruiting firm. So a firm, I'll just use a generic example. A firm has approached you and they say they want to, let me say, they want to start using POS. I think everybody knows this one. They want to start using POS for their business. So currently, the issue of Naira is affecting everybody. Nobody has cash to pay, and these days, if you don't have POS, so the firm has come to say they don't have POS and it's affecting their business. So you can see that it's a problem. It's a complex, for them it's a problem, it's a challenge. And they are consulting you as a business analyst to start to help them. So what do you do as a business analyst? The first thing you should do is not to just rush and start saying, oh, I think you should. No. You have to sit down first and try to break down that request or that need. So you start by asking questions. And when you ask questions, you have to document those questions in what we call, and it's a process we call requirement gathering. So you have to go back to the business. You have to document the questions. Okay, you want POS. What kind of business do you do? What banks do you use? Does your bank support POS? What are your daily sales like? Do most of your customers use ATM? Currently, is there a good network in your area? What network do you use? So as a BA, that is your job, right? So if they ask you, so I mean, if you're going home, if you leave this class today, you should have that consciousness that analysis is not a very big word, or it's not a word that is meant for just data alone. Analysis is as simple as breaking down anything to get more insight or better understanding into. So when you ask those questions, you will now get better understanding into why the company actually needs POS. Or you can also get the response on why they don't even need POS. So that a client brings a problem to you doesn't mean that you just start working on the problem. No, the essence is to break it down to know how to deal with that problem. Like I said, this is a full career. This is a full-time job for people, because if you're in the ERP space or you're providing a service, especially abroad, people just consult people with problems. They could hire a HRO company because they feel that their staffs they have high staff turnover. They could get an IT company because, like I've said, the example, they need better services. The one they are using is not working. So there will always be need. As long as there is always need in this world, there will always be a BA person. And you don't need to be, in fact, wherever you are, whatever you do, you can see that you're a business analyst. I just want you to know that even in your present work, the present things you do, you're doing BA work. As long as you are solving problems, as long as you are identifying needs, as long as you are documenting those needs and you're trying to break those needs down into tasks, you're actually solving a problem. It's just that business analysis gives a much more broader, it gives some context, it gives some guidance it gives some direction, and gives better insight into how to better analyze business and meet those needs. Right. So that's the job of a BA. The job of a BA is to identify the client needs. But how do you identify needs? You have to be able to break down, ask questions. Like you have to be able to understand the concept. So for those in IT, or for those in finance or any other work you do, that's actually the job. So when you hear BA, business analyst, that's their job. Their job is to help organizations to deliver on clients' requirements. And you cannot solve any client's requirement without having a BA, because BAs are the ones who are trained to actually do this, break down this complex topic into in Scrum we call it sprints. We call them something like task. Okay, so the technique has been applied in the study of maths and logic since before Aristotle, though analysis as a formal concept relatively is. So basically, it's been there. Like I also said, you also do business analysis in your place of work. The difference is that it's now, the consciousness is now there. It's now a career of its own. So instead of hiring an IT engineer in a project, the IT engineer might not be trained enough or informed enough to do BA work. You have to now employ a BA. So in every project, you must have a business analyst because their work is critical to the success of that project. All right. So if you have any questions, please, or contributions, you can always let me know. Okay, so basically, we're not going deep into data, but one of the ways you can analyze, one of the ways that can help you, that's why a business analyst must also have data analysis as one of his core strength or skills. You must be able to, because what are you analyzing? When you gather these requirements, they are information, they are data. So you must have the tools that you can use to analyze them, because some of these informations you're collecting or you're gathering, you might not just, I mean, there are tools you use to analyze them. There are technologies that can predict, that can give you more insight into what you have gathered other than your brain, right? So there are ways you gain insights into data, and these are some of the steps in the traditional data analysis. These are the 4 steps you can employ to gain more value or to have value or get more information about that data you're gathering. Yeah, developing your business analytic capability is an evolution, right? So here are four stages in the evolution of business data analytics that will help you transition from analyzing history to anticipating future trends. So one of the job of a BA is to analyze and be able to proffer solutions to problems. We're not going deep into data analysis. We'll just run through, right? But you need to understand this concept for you to be a good BA. You need to know which of these data analysis methods that you're going to be using to analyze the data you have gathered. So one is descriptive analysis. A descriptive analysis is the most basic standard report. The report answers the question, what was the for example, what was the revenue of a product last quarter? So like I said, when we talked about analysis, we said it's breaking down, and breaking down involves asking questions, and asking questions involve gathering requirements or gathering data. Now, one of the ways you can elicit information from the business or from the stakeholders is through the descriptive analysis form or method, where you ask the question, in fact, what was the situation before now? It's a very, very important question that BAs must ask. So if you're in a project, for example, I recently joined a project, and immediately I got on board, I had to ask for, before now, what were they using? Before now, what ERP were they using? What solution were they using? So you have to ask that question, what was happening, since this is a need? Before now, what were you guys doing? What was the process? What was the method? What solutions were you using? So that's how you try to break down problems or break down task. You have to ask the question, what was? You can note that down, as we go through this class. So a BA would have to, for descriptive analysis, you have to ask the question, what was? And it's a very, very important question to enable you to try to understand what the need or what the problem is. So I'm not be going deeper into this. The next is diagnostic analysis. So you can use any of these type of data analysis in your project, right? But as a BA, in any project, whether it's SAP, whether it's IT, whether it's communications, as long as it's a problem and there's a need, you have to ask these questions. For diagnostic analysis, when you hear the word diagnosis, it means that you are actually looking for something. Yeah. When they say go for this test or go for this diagnostic, it means they want to find the root cause of something. And the second analytical tool that the BA can use is this form of analysis, which asks the question why. So when you have asked the question, what were you guys doing? For example, I'll use the POS business as a case study. So before the POS, how were you guys? Not how now. What was your process of making payments? Do they go to the bank? Do you accept cash? You know, does your customer owe you and all that? The next is why. Why were you using this form of payment? Was it that it was convenient? Was it that the customers preferred it? Was it that you had challenges of network and you had to stick to this? So you see now that the BA's work is not just to rush and go and profile solution. No, you have to. BA gives you a standard way, a more professional way of meeting client needs. And if you are in the technology space or the finance space or the fintech space, it's a very, very important career right now. It's a booming career because everybody wants a BA on their list. Everybody wants, even if it's IT, you have IT analyst, you have business analyst, you have SAP analyst, you have ERP analyst. Everybody wants a business analyst on their side, right? Because they are the ones that really give the technical people what to work with. So imagine you're building an ERP or a software or a POS and you don't have all these answers. I mean, what are you going to be building, right? So that's why, or imagine you are doing a business, you are trying to meet a client need and you don't have all these answers. It's going to be crazy. So why? Why did this product revenue grow or shrink? Why were you using this POS? Why do you need a POS? Why don't you use this? Why? So the diagnosis analysis, which is a very important tool for the BA, is to ask or gather requirements for the questions why. So let's have that at the back of mind. Why is very important. The next one is the predictive analysis, right? So basically, what this talks about is how, because most times when you want to predict something, you want to see how you can profile a solution for this service in the future, right? So in the future, what are we predicting that if we actually bring a POS, if we are suggesting, if the client really needs a POS, what will the effect be in the future for the client's business? Will it improve sales? Will it reduce the customer rejection? Will it help give them improve their businesses and the way they service their clients, right? So that's another very important skill or very important requirement that a BA would need when he wants to break down a serious task. Then we have the prescriptive, is where there is little or no time. Basically what the prescriptive does is to prefer or prescribe solutions to problems, right? So basically in this stage, you look to data not just as a source of things that that are going wrong, but for predictive guidance about what to do. So this answers the questions, what do we do, right? So part of the job of a BA is also to prescribe solutions. So after you have gathered all the information about why the business wants the POS, how will this POS improve the the service, you have to now prescribe a solution to the. Yes, you need a POS because I think from the data we have seen or from the information we have gathered so far, it is going to help resolve this issue. It's going to help do this, do this, do that. Right. So a BA is a very, very serious, like I said, is a career that stands on its own. It's very tasking, it's very demanding, and it will also, I mean, it requires some form of you using some of these data analysis methods to arrive at your task, right, to help you deliver your assignment as a BA. Right. So I don't know, does any of us have any questions at this point? Please ask questions.
Okay, Kelechima, thank you for your presentation. You know, like
Okay.
as you mentioned, VA is gradually becoming one of the sought after skills in the part of the world today. In fact, there's no role you see today being advertised that you don't see VA, VA, VA. Very soon, we're also going to have VA in medical line, VA nurses. VA. Yeah, that's where the world is thinking to right now. Every job you see today, they will always tell you I'm really surprised, right? But above all, my question now is this: for one to be a BA, you know, certain things are required. One has to really specialize in one part, right? Because it's really diverse. So, what are the key competencies or skills that are required from someone to be qualified as a BA? Not just CBAP certification. I'm looking at the core competencies and the skills that one needs to have, right, to be called a BA.
Yeah. Thank you for that question, right? And that question will come because there are knowledge areas we call in BA. There are very serious knowledge areas. There are core competencies, knowledge areas, and knowledge areas that you will need to dive into or delve into before you can actually do BA work, right? So there are tools you need to be able to use, like the business process tools. There are ways. There are knowledge areas you need to have. So I would like to answer that question as this class progresses, because that question might be answered at the later end of this class, because we want you to be able to get to that point where you feel yes, you can actually do BA work. But like you said, there are there are requirements, and part of that we're going to see, and part of what you're also going to get in this session is we're going to have a real project where you will be doing the BA work yourself. So after this session, just as I'm giving you a scenario about a POS, and because BA is about meeting needs, and we're going to see those core areas, and we're going to analyze them in detail. But pardon me to answer that question as the class progresses, because it involves a lot, right? It involves a lot, and that's why I said BA is a career of its own. Outside the certification is just a confirmation, but you're going to actually do real BA work. So you're going to have a project. As we move phase by phase, you're actually going to be doing the work yourself, and you're going to be presenting to the class based on each topic as we move, right? So for example, if you have a project and where we tell you that this project have started, give us a project plan, or give us a stakeholder analysis, or give us your SWOT analysis of it. You will do it yourself, right? So I guess that before the end of the class, you would have known that you have the required skill of being a BA, because it's a very, very practical, I tell you, it's a very practical session. So once we're done with this, part of the purpose of this class is to actually, we're going to record all the projects that we're going to be, because BA is projects, but BA basically focuses on project that is tied towards IT, not the traditional construction, but it uses agile, so the agile methodology. So it will be tilting towards solving services, problems, real needs, of clients. So I'm going to get back to you as the class progresses, because that question is very, very broad. But thank you for asking anyways. Okay, please let me know if you have any other questions. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is, now we have seen what business is, and we have seen what analysis is. So can somebody just, in a layman's term, when you put the two words together, what does it mean to you? How can you, in the what we call, how can you define what business analysis is? Just basically nothing serious. You have business, you have analysis. So I mean, okay, I think that's what we did at the first class. So I think we have talked about it. So basically, we're going to see a more detailed definition of what BA is. Now, business analysis can be understood as a research discipline that helps you to find the business needs. Take note of the word find. Like I said, that's why we are analysts. That's the analysis side of business analysis, to find the business needs and identify solutions to the business problems. So when you hear the word business analysis, it's not about data. Data is one part of, data is the way you use to find, right? But business analysis has a lot of processes that you go through before you even find, because those processes will help you confirm what you are actually finding, right? So that is what business analysis is all about. And for example, if we look at the knowledge areas of business analysis, which we will see in the next class, we have things like business analysis planning. How do you plan? Before you find a problem, you have to have a plan. We have elicitation and collaboration. When you have planned, how do you go about getting the information? So, Okechukwu, I'm trying to go deeper a little bit to answering your question, because that's the work of a BA. That's what we call the knowledge areas. You have to plan business analysis work. Okay, the business have met you, there is a need. We need POS. You don't just go and say, oh, why do you need POS? No. You don't just go. Business analysis has knowledge areas you need to be very, very conversant with, tasks you need to perform for each of these knowledge areas. First knowledge area is business analysis planning. So when you see a problem, or when you identify a need, you have to have a plan on how to go about solving that problem. Number two, like I said, elicitation and collaboration. If you want to, let's say the business has, the POS company has invited you to come. When you get to the business, how do you elicitate? Elicitate means to get something out of something. How do you get that information? What tools do you use? Do you use questionnaires? Do you use business process designs? Do you use, what tools do you use to get that information from the business, right? So the next is the requirement life cycle. When you are getting, because when you get this information, they are what we call requirements. How do you manage these requirements? How do you arrange them? How do you sort them? How do you clean them? How do you, at what point do you need, because you don't need some requirements you gather today, you might be needing in 6 months' time. Some you gather today, you might need 2 weeks' time. Some you gather today, you might need it now. So you see that the job of a BA is to properly arrange the requirements he has gathered over a life cycle, right? The next is strategy analysis. How do you strategically analyze the requirements you have gathered in such a way that you can take this analysis to those who are going to actually be designing a solution or profiling a solution to that problem? So requirements analysis and design, it's a very core. We use tools like the BPMN, Jira, and the rest of them. These are tools that you use to do design definition and requirements analysis and the rest of them. Then we have solution evaluation. How, when you feel you have a solution, how do you evaluate this solution? Like one of our colleagues said, how do you evaluate that this solution you have provided is even the solution that the business needs, right? So these are what we call the knowledge areas of business analysis. And for these knowledge areas, there are tasks, there are guidelines, there are tools that you need to carry out to actually see how to actually meet these requirements, right? And even in business analysis, right, we have what we call the core requirements of BA, which we are going to be seeing as we move in. They are called the 6 core components. We have change. So we're going to see this in details. We have needs. So at what point, when if there's, for example, we have seen that business analysis is to understand, it's a discipline that helps you to find business needs and identify solutions to problems. These solutions may include the development of a software or software component, improvement in a process, organizational change or strategy planning and policy development. So these are all these things I mentioned now, they are needs. So there must be a need, and that's why a BA is the one who is supposed to be the first man on the field. That's why for any project you see, whether it's ERP, whether it's SAP, whether it's Microsoft Navision, whether it's engineering, any kind of project, the first person you would probably find in those projects are the BAs and the project managers. Why? They have to first know what these needs are, then analyze it and do all that. The next we have as a core component of business analysis is solution. Of course, the aim of doing BA work is to provide solutions to the problems or to the challenges, right? There is no two ways about it. If you found yourself in a project and there are issues, your work is to provide solution. Your work is not to complain, is to analyze, break it down, and give us why this thing is happening. Then we have another component called stakeholders. Stakeholders are very important, right? They will determine the success or failure of your project. Like I've said, our POS, for example, our POS project, the first thing a BA will do, when you have met with the client, is to identify the stakeholders. Who are primary stakeholders to making this project a success? Who do I need to meet? Who do I need to elicit information from? Who are the key stakeholders? Who are the key users? So these are all the things that a BA, these are all the skills, all the core competencies that a BA is supposed to be able to have. Then the next is value. What value are you bringing as a BA? The work you're doing, how valuable is it to the business or to the client? So this is a very important mindset or course of a BA. Then context talks about the change. What context is the change going? How relevant is this change going to be for this business, right? What's going to change within the environment, and at which context is that change going to occur? Right. So these are some of the core elements that forms a BA's work, and it's deeper. Like I said, we're just trying to make it light today and just make everybody feel good. But business analysis process offers concept and insight into the development of the initial framework of any project. It stores the key guide. It stores the key to guide stakeholders of a project who performs business analysis modeling in an orderly manner. So basically, the process of the BA process offers insights. Like I said, when they break down, like I said, that's why the analysis is the key work of a BA, to be able to break down and give insights. So when you find yourself if you have a title called business analyst or business analysis or ERP analyst, anything analyst, your job is basically to provide insights into that thing that you are doing. So you will do a lot of requirement gatherings, you will do a lot of solution requirement designs, you will do a lot of process mapping, you will do a lot of business process designs. Yeah, all that is to bring insight, is to provide insights into what that project is all about, right? And into meeting this client's needs, right? So basically, this is what the concept of business analysis is. Right. So I want to ask a question, right, to make sure we are all here. So if we know what business analysis is, please, who can tell me who a business analyst is? Helen, you want to try? Who is a business analyst?
Yeah. A business analyst is someone that critically examine a situation or maybe a business investment and also provide solution. Should be able to identify the needs and also be able to give a solution to that
Thank
need.
you.
Okay,
Thank
you
you.
use the POS as an example.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much. That is once you internalize it, once you know that, then that is what the BA is. Right. Nebo, do you want to help us? Just your idea. Vivian, are you there?
Okay, let me
Okay, try.
let me say a funny one.
Okay.
A VA
Yeah.
is someone who sees beyond the organization.
Okay.
What do I mean by that? Is someone who sees the need or the problem of every organization or an organization and provides a solution.
Thank you. So seeing that need, identifying that need, is key. So if tomorrow you find yourself in a position as a BA, which is most likely, because if you're in the ERP space, it's either you're in project or you're in the functional side, right? Most times it's projects. So if you find yourself there, always have at the back of your mind that before they called you, before you were employed, there is a need. They brought you in to solve a problem. You were called in to solve a problem. So you have to do everything within your power to, first of all, don't just rush into a project, right? Don't just rush into, oh, no. You have to apply these things you are learning. You need to calm down and apply the BA skills that you will gather. Because the first thing, like I said, is plan. You have to ask for the plan. You don't just, when you get into a new space, you don't just start working. You ask for what was the plan? What is the plan? How long is this project going to end? What's the project plan? What are the expectations? Right? These are very important because you need to understand what the need is before you can, and the expectations before you can actually rush into doing. So part of what you're going to learn in this class is to apply all these tools. You're going to see a lot of tools, a lot of tasks we're going to be using. So let's just see basically I think that definition has really taken it. We have taken it that far. This is still talking about business analytics, but the idea is a BA should be able to enable change, should be able to define needs and recommend solutions. I'll say it again. A BA is supposed to enable change. So sometimes a project might be, I've showed you different times where the solution may include developing a software, improving a process. So improving a process is change, and that is the need. So part of the BA's job is to make sure that that change that the client needs happens, right? And for you to know what that change is, you're able to define what the needs of that client is, and you recommend a solution that delivers value to the stakeholders. So at the end of the day, if the stakeholder is not happy, it means you have not delivered any value, right? So, and it means that there's a part of your BA's work that was not successful. So if you find yourself in a project, or if you're servicing clients, or you're employed to do BA work, once you are a change agent, number one. Number two, your work is to identify needs. So if the end user, for example, you're in an SAP project, and the end user they have issues with trouble, they have issues with posting transactions and doing all that and that. Your job is to make sure that you profile a solution. And that's where it is. Like, that is another very important role of a BA: profile solutions and deliver value. Right. So, and to do this, there are a set of tasks and techniques. Like I said, there are sets of tasks and techniques that are used to perform business analysis. You don't just rush into the field. What we're going to be teaching you in this class is the task and the techniques you use to deliver BA work. That's what Okechukwu was trying to understand. Like, how do you know? It is when you apply the tasks, and it's when you identify the tasks and use the techniques, that's when you know you're actually a BA. If you're able to use the tools, if you're able to use the ideas, the innovative ideas, the techniques, then you would know that you're a BA. Right. So this course, like I said, is project based. We are all going to have our projects, and when we get into the task, you will present your task. We'll have 10-15 minutes for everybody to, just as I'm explaining my POS issue, you're going to come up with your own project. Then we're going to be applying these tools to that project. Then you would actually see how practical this can be. Okay, so basically, I'm going to rush through this concept, the Agile Business Analyst. Basically, what this is saying is that the BA basically, so a key accountability of business analysts on an Agile team is to support the product owner with decision making. So I remember I was in a BA conference online remotely. I think they were holding it in either Canada or US or one of these countries. And we had a breakout session where I had to meet with my fellow BAs. And I asked this lady, because I had a challenge in one of my projects where the project manager, was a little bit he wasn't willing to share information and all that. So I was asking her how, how do you manage such issues? She probably told me that the job of a BA is basically to just support. Like, anyhow, you can just, if you fight the project manager because the project manager is not giving you what you want, or you go all emotional and all that, then you would not be supporting the product manager in making decisions. So you have to also have emotional intelligence. You have to know how to be part of your team and support your team. Like, so the key job is to support the project or the product owner. So if you're in a project as a BA, you would most likely be reporting to an SME, that's subject matter expert, a project manager, a program manager, or one person who is up there, because the information you're getting will need to be processed and analyzed by somebody probably above you. Now they do this, the BAs do this by deep diving on problems and providing options on ways to progress the product evolution. So, like I've said, if you don't go with anything in this class, go with the mindset that you are there to solve problems as a BA, and provide options. Even in my current project, my project manager will always tell me, analyze it, give me options. Like if a user throws a problem at you, don't bring it back to me like that. If you're coming back to me, you're telling me that I have analyzed this, I think the problem is here, 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 and if we do this, this is what we are going to be expecting. That is who a BA is, right? So you have to be very innovative, very open-minded, and very open to learning. So that's another those are some of the traits of BAs. A key part of the role is to help the product owner justify their decision so that they don't go rogue and start ruling by diktat. So you are supposed to also assist the project manager in justifying their decisions. So if you're working in a project team and they decide to take a particular decision, the work of a BA is to bring enough information to justify why that decision is there. I'm letting you know all this because number one, it might also elicit your interest in wanting to do BA. You can actually move to be a business analyst, right? You can start your career as that. You can add it to whatever you're doing. You can, if you're already in IT, you can.
Kelechi, we cannot hear you anymore.
Anymore.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, but your page is out.
Yeah, sorry, I had a brief call. Okay, so basically that's what an agile business analyst does, right? The word agile alone should make you know that you should be at the top of your game, right? So this helps reduce the risk of non-consumer focused knee-jerking decision making. You don't just, if you're not active and if you're not very functional, if you're not an agile business analyst, then you're going to be stressing your project manager, right? And at the point they will feel you're not adding any value. So I believe now you're getting the point about who a BA, or who the futures of who a BA stands for. Now, during review meetings, the BA should challenge ideas and views of stakeholders to ensure they align with the product objectives. This is very, very, in fact, right, you have to be bold. You have to understand the product, because if you are this kind of person that, as a BA, you are in front of stakeholders and you don't understand the project goals, you don't understand the objectives, and they every day they come, they want to push you. No, you have to challenge ideas, you have to ask questions. So a BA is somebody who is very respectfully challenge ideas. So you need to ask why, when, why are we, this is the project plan, this is the scope. I think if we take this route, we might be going out of the scope. We need to stick to the plan and all that. So, and once you are active, that's what is expected of a BA, right? They should ensure that the value of each stakeholder's ideas can be compared against other ideas. So, like I said, part of your role is also you're going to be interfacing with a lot of stakeholders, both internal and external stakeholders, or both stakeholders within your firm and stakeholders outside your firm. So as a BA, you need to understand you need to know where you stand. You need to always, if you don't know anything, you have to politely ask for time to go analyze it and all that. but you have to be able to bring ideas that can, you have to challenge ideas, you have to ask questions, and you need to profile solutions. Yeah. So when working on products that have multiple stakeholders or customer segments, the BA ensures that each of these various customer perspectives are considered. Yeah. So you have to be involved. You have to understand stakeholder management. It's very, very important, and it's part of what we are going to be looking at. How do you manage stakeholders? See, if you don't learn these things, you might think you know these things, but it will shock you that, like me, I think I've had my own fair share of ignorance, right? When you appear before stakeholders and you have not actually done what we call stakeholder management. And as a BA, or as a lead, or as somebody who is aspiring to be a consultant or to meet people, you need to understand these concepts. If not, you might go there and mess yourself up. Right? You need to be able to know how to speak. You need to be able to identify who the stakeholders are and how to speak to them. You don't just go and just say things. No, because they say you should be bold, you don't just go and say things, right? You need to you need to ensure that you know that you have the techniques, you have the tools, you have the ideas, the ideas on how to go about these things. This thing looks, I think it's when I learned BA that I actually had more value for some of these things, right? Before, I didn't know. I mean, when you go to a project, you don't even know who the stakeholders are. You just get in there and you talk to anybody, you reply mails anyhow. You don't even know that the person who is replying, you're replying to, is the person who, you don't know when to reply mail or how to reply mail. You don't know the approach to use. You don't know whether you should first discuss before sending mail. You don't know how to follow up with, your stakeholders to get feedback, because stakeholders can really frustrate you. You can be asking for one information 20 times and you don't get it. So how do you go about those guys? These things are practical. There are things you will face. The essence of this program is to inform you and to enlighten you, right? So that you can better position yourself to be successful at your projects. Right. So basically, a BA is involved in planning. So you're going to be doing a lot of planning with your project team. You're going to be having daily stand-up meetings. Yeah, you're going to be involved in a lot of meetings. I remember my time in KPMG. I was the one leading that project, so I would be meeting back to back, meeting with a lot of stakeholders, managing their expectations, calling them to order when they need to be called. And man, it's a lot of work. You have to be coordinating these meetings. You have to know the kind of tools you're to be using for these meetings. You have to know how to use as simple as tools as simple as Teams invite or Zoom. You have to really know how to use these tools. They look very funny, but some of us cannot share screen. Some of us, they say we should do some certain things with these tools. We cannot. Some of us don't even know where recording is. So, but these are tools that a BA would have to be very, very familiar with. A BA is involved in refinement. You have to review, you have to recertify things. You have to also do retrospective check. Where this is where we are now. How far have we gone? Let's stop here. Let's pause and let's think. How far so far? What have we been able to achieve? Are we? I mean, are we going to have done this better? Right? Where we are now, is it where we're supposed to be? So you're supposed to, do some retrospective thinking. It's part of the Scrum knowledge. It's part of what we do in Scrum. At the point you stop and you have some retrospection about how far you have gone in your project. So we have seen on the screen, you're going to be seeing some of the real responsibilities, challenge ideas, ensure various customer perspectives are considered. So when customers bring their ideas, you have to document them properly in a script. If you do Scrum, you're going to understand some of those concepts. Clearly define the behavior of the system. Ensure the team has sufficient detail to get things done, provide benefit calculation to the product owner, which is like a project manager, gather metrics and data for sprint review. So sprints are like daily expectations, they're daily tasks you're supposed to be doing, and sprint is gotten from the Scrum agile process. Then agile BA tools, you need to be able to do risk analysis, stakeholder mapping, impact analysis, user story mapping, specification by example, behavioral driven development, business rule elicitation. So okay, Chuku, for you to be a BA, you should have experienced these tools, right? When you get to a project, you should be able to get your hands on some of these documents. And for example, stakeholder mapping. How do you do stakeholder mapping? If you are a certified BA, we have these tools are available to us, and I believe I'm going to be sharing some as we go on. You need to, outside identifying the stakeholders, how do you map them to the different activities? So these are some of the, how do you do impact analysis? How do you know that the change that has happened, what is the effect? How impactful was this change to the process? How do you do user stories mapping? User stories are gathering, when the project starts, you have to get user stories from each user. You have to understand what he or she does in a project. So you gather these information. These are part of your user stories. So you see that these are terminologies and terms that BAs are supposed to be familiar with in any project. So if you're going to be in the business side, if you're going to be part of projects, you need these tools to be able to do your work effectively. Okay, so why use business analytics? Why do you need to do this? I think we're going to be wrapping up this session soon. So it helps you to understand the structure and dynamics of a company. That is why you need to be engaged in business analysis. It allows you to understand current problems in the target organization. Like we said, identifying needs and problems is part of the core responsibility of a BA. It helps you to identify improvement potentials and recommend solutions to enable an organization to achieve goals. When I finished my BA course, my mindset changed from someone who is ready to shift the blame, or ready to point fingers, or ready to say it's not my work, to somebody who was more responsible, who was I think if you ask me now, I'm more of somebody who wants to be involved, who wants to take responsibility, who wants to know how to solve that problem. In fact, part of my joy in what I do as an SAP consultant and as a consultant is solving problems. I love solving problems. I love analyzing those problems. And I love when I get a solution to a problem, I'm so excited. I remember when we were learning SAP with some of the people who are in this class now. And I remember sometimes we met some problems. We were doing some configurations and we got stuck. When I went back to get the solution for those problems, those were the most exciting time for me in those classes, right? Because that is how a BA thinks. A BA is somebody who doesn't run from challenges. You embrace challenges. You are looking for the best way to solve those problems. And if you have that mindset, you are going to go very far, right? You're going to stand out, in whatever you're doing. It's a very, very good mindset that at the end of this class you should have imbibed, because that is who a BA is. Now, you help to identify and articulate the needs for change. If there's a problem, your job is not to complain about the issues and all that. No, your job is to identify it and analyze it and profile solutions to that need. And that's why like Okechukwu said, every career needs a BA, because people are not trained for this. I think it's only BA that trains people how to do these three things: identify need, analyze the need, and profile solutions. Every other course is just professional, banking, IT, finance. They are just there. But one course that will teach you needs, change, solution, context, all those things is a BA. And that's why you cannot do without having a BA in a project, because they are trained for this specific thing. Just the way a doctor is trained to operate a patient, just the way an IT guy is trained to, it depends on the area of IT, to do technical work or functional work. A BA's work is to make sure that you can identify that need, you can drive that change, and you can make that change, you can achieve that goal. That's just somebody's work. And that's why you need those kind of persons in a project. I believe you should have known now how important a BA is, because a BA is different from an accountant or an engineer or a project manager. A BA's work is very, very defined, in the sense that they are the ones that would create that change. They are the ones that would solve that problem. They are the ones that will provide solution to that need. It's somebody's career. So that's why it's a very, very important career in any project. So a BA is beyond a project manager. That's what we call BA beyond project manager. A BA is beyond a project manager, because a project manager is basically just managing the activities and the processes. A BA's work is in the initial phase of the project to break down those challenges or those needs into tasks, and solve those challenges while using the tools and the techniques that are available before him. So we'll learn more as we move on. To maximize the value, and I think I'm going to tilt towards the later part of my career. I think I'm going to be doing a lot of more BA work, because I have a friend who is a BA that travels around the world, because they have projects everywhere in the world. And the first team that appears there is the BA team. It's not the project manager, it's the BA. You have to use those tools, and you come up with reports on, do we even embark on this project and all that, right? So we'll see how that goes. Now, to maximize the value delivered by an organization to each stakeholder, very, very important to maximize the value. So BA is the person in between the stakeholder and the business. So if you're a BA from IBM, you're in the middle. So you're the communication link between IBM and the business. So the BA supports the stakeholder. The BA also supports IBM, in the sense that the BA makes sure that the value that is delivered by IBM, to make sure that they maximize the value delivered by IBM to the stakeholders, such that at the end of the day, the stakeholders are happy that they have value for money. So it's a very, very important role, and it's a career. Like I always emphasize that, in case you want to shift, because I think in Nigeria, it's also a very fast moving career in Nigeria, and of course everywhere in the world right now. Okay, now I have a question, and I would like us to look at it before we move to the next thing, and hopefully call it a day for this session. So the question is, what makes a business analyst exceptional? Is it proficiency in business modeling, business process modeling, analysis tool and techniques? Is it the knowledge of latest technology and methodologies? I'd like us to answer. What do you think, from all you have learned so far, what do you think makes the career, or why do you think a business analyst is just different, from every other person you might find in a project? Stanley, are you there? I don't know if you followed all through, if you want to answer.
I got stuck along the.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks.
Yeah.
But okay. But do you have any? What do you think? Why do you think a business analyst is exceptional? Just your idea.
Yeah, because a business analyst is being exceptional. It's like a problem solver in an
Okay.
organization where,
Yeah.
I mean, organization, for example, we have 5 different SBUs, that's strategic business units. So it's trying to tell me that this program, we have outsourcing, we have the recruitment, we have the verification unit, we have the action unit. I think one other unit. I know there are 5. So this tries to tell me that in this unit are more or less like a project unit. So definitely trying to give me an overview of I need somebody who will definitely analyze the business of this unit. So definitely. So before looking outside to get the PA, you'll first of all ask, where is Mr. Stanley? So I need analysis before or in out when our organization start thinking of getting a BA. So it's a problem solving, let me say a project plus. So the way let me say the way they use the Yahoo Plus, like Project Plus.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Project Plus. Thank you very much, Stan. That's a very good one. Patience, can you tell me why the BA is exceptional?
Yeah, I think the BA analyst is exceptional because they have to have high in everything that is going on in the company to analyze a lot of things and bring suggest solution to each modeling. I think when you ask they are proficient in business, they have to know that one. They have to have a deep knowledge in the use of these techniques. And also in the latest technology and methodologies, like in SAP, for instance, very, very useful because they have to talk to stakeholders, also talk to like you said, change management. The users, they have to talk to them, like try to find to see their difficulties or their problems and try to find a solution for them and for them to be willing and ready to use the system. You understand? As I say, I'm talking as SAP from SAP's perspective. Sometimes stakeholders, they can be very difficult. See, some of them maybe they don't want to. You just have to be patient. Use your techniques to convince them, and also the end user. So I think their job is exceptional. You have to have strong minds to face people, and sometimes you face strangers. You understand? You don't know their character. You don't know their behavior. You just have to
emotionally intelligent.
Exactly, as you said before. You have to use also this agile way of thinking, and so it's really, really exceptional because you have to touch everybody in these projects. You understand? You have to talk to your colleagues, to the end user, to the stakeholders. That you are a middleman.
Thank you very much for that. Okechukwu, you want to give us something in 30 seconds?
One of the things that makes a BA exceptional, right, is the possession of certain skills that maybe probably some people in organizations they do not have. One of the things that makes one an exceptional BA is that level of confidence in you. Because for you to be a BA, that means you have to stand before the kings. You have to stand before the management. You have to stand before the decision makers of an organization. And if you don't have that confidence to deal with these people, you will be messed up.
True.
I can give an instance. I could remember
intimidated. That you go with full confidence, with full gadgets. Okay, sorry to cut you off.
Yes. I remember during when we did a project, Oracle implementation in Anchor, we had a very stubborn stakeholder. This guy, he's not an executive management, but his level of charisma, his confidence can throw anyone. When this guy speaks like this, people will be shaking. So because of that, people were so scared of getting closer to him. I could wonder what the project manager could have faced in that guy's hand. Right? So, but for it to be an exceptional exceptional BA, my dear, you need to understand your stakeholders management. It's key.
Yeah.
If not,
you
can be messed up in a project.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing your experience. I agree with you. Very, 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 very important.
You dey make person fear. If you come meet stakeholders for German stakeholders, you go hear a motto. Their mind they back. Well, can relate to what I'm talking about.
I'm telling you, it's
crazy. You meet them, those also their head not their house. They go use question finish you, intimidate you there.
Okay, Harold, you want to share with us?
Okay, I've heard all what you guys have said, and it's quite impressive. So, interesting to from different backgrounds. I'm going to share my own experience coming from business management perspective.
We can't hear you.
Speak louder.
Am I audible enough now? Hello, am I audible enough?
It's a little bit like
we can hear you.
Far.
Am I audible enough now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's interesting to hear different perspectives and different experiences, right? I'm going to talk from a background from a business manager, a product developer, and a sales person.
Yeah.
Now, in line with what a business analyst is, because of my role, I tend to wear a business analyst role, sort of, but not certified, but not trained. And the reason why I say this is because in my organization, before we come up with a product, one of the first things we do is identify if there's a problem in an industry or a sector. Once you've been able to identify that, then the next thing is how do we solve that problem?
Yeah.
Next thing is what solution or what OEM or what are the combinations of solutions that can be used to solve that problem. Once that has been done, we now try to understand the solution itself proper. Once we understand the solution, we now go in and do what we call stakeholder identification and business development. So we now start to look at people that we feel we can talk to. If they are aware of the problem, if they are not aware of the problem, then we now educate them about the problem within the industry.
Okay.
If they are buying, then we now propose a solution and we now request for what we call a POC. A POC is called a proof of concept.
Okay.
And once that has been done, if they are satisfied, then we now take it up to the next level where we can now start asking if it is something that is within their budget or not. So that is one scenario. The other scenario is the customer knows that this is their problem and they are looking for the solution, right? And budget it. Now we now come up with a solution that strictly addresses that problem and see how we can actually get commercials that fits into that budget. At the same time, trying to ward away other competitors from coming in, right? So at the end of the day, from my own perspective, it is more from identifying a problem from business perspective, how you are able to solve the problem for the customer, how you are able to also solve the problem for your own organization by trying to ensure that you are able to close a sale and bring in revenue, and ensure that that solution you are giving that customer is actually solving that problem. And once you solve that problem, your ability to upsell, retain the customer, and ensure that the customer is happy, right?
Wow.
So from my perspective, that is from my background, that is what I can.
An exceptional BA is.
To a BA. The only difference is now that we are the ones trying to generate the revenue ourselves and not being paid like an employee or like as a consultant. With the case.
Yeah. Thank you very much. But just to share a few minutes, right? Have you give us your experience with managing maybe a stakeholder or experience where you had where you feel some of this learning now will help you. One of the issues you had, and where you feel, okay, if you had done a BA course, you would have probably known how to manage it better. Do you have something like that?
Okay, so I'll give two examples. The first is there was a project we lost.
Okay.
And we lost that project because I did not take the main stake. I didn't recognize the major stakeholder on time.
Okay.
And by the time I realized he was the one, it was already late because
wow.
He was out of the company, and by the time they handed it over to the next person, it became very political. So all along, while I knew him, I just felt he was just one of the people there. Every other person had already gotten them. They were giving me information. They were on my side. But this guy was proving to be very difficult. He wasn't speaking, and I didn't know that he was like everything rested on his table. Like he was the person that would just say, okay, we are good, and we can sign your purchase order, and we'll give you guys the project. So that project was about $120,000 project, and we lost it. Right? We didn't get that project. The second.
Sorry, I have a question. Sorry to cut you off. How did it go? Did the issue went political?
So because I was not able to
identify him,
the main guy.
Okay.
Start speaking his language, right?
Okay.
We didn't get the project.
What language was the guy speaking? Is he Yoruba or Igbo?
No. Nigerian factor.
Nigerian factor language.
Scratch my back, I scratch your back.
So okay, money under the table.
Yes. So we didn't know he was the guy that would, demand that. By the time I realized, it was quite late, and he was out of the company, right? No, not really. He was out of the company. The organization now employed somebody else and took that project from him and did a bit of restructuring. And the new person that came in put a hold on the project. And till date that I speak to you, okay, they've given it. They gave it to somebody else. They gave it to an Indian company, right? And that's because the new CTO is of Indian origin, right? So that was how project. The second one is that, and I'll say this generally because it's typical with every vendor-facing business. So when you get an opportunity, one of the first things you need to do is who is the decision maker, right? And who are the people that will help you take you to the decision maker. So once you are able to identify those, we ensure that the people that will take you to the decision maker, their interests are covered, so that they will be your spokesperson to the decision maker, because the decision maker doesn't know you, but the people that take you to the decision maker are the ones that will prep the decision maker and let the decision maker know that this organization or this set of people, they are good, they have references. It makes the job easier, so that by the time you have maybe like a 10 or 15 minutes opportunity to speak, the appetite of the decision maker has already been whet. You just come in and deal with it, And so once you get in there and the project starts, because you already have a good rapport with the decision makers, it makes every other person within the line of the project, cooperate, because they also don't want issues with the decision maker or the project owner. So that's my experience.
Thank you very much, Harold. I mean, this is this is more around stakeholder management, and it's a very, very important. Look, there a lot of project has actually gone haywire because of stakeholder management, identification, and everything that has to do with that. So thank you for sharing your experience. I mean, it was worth learning from. Right. So identifying a stakeholder is very, very important. Helen, you want to give us something in 1 minute? What makes a business analyst exceptional?
Yeah.
Helen,
I think some of the things. Yeah, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
One of the key things that makes a business analyst exceptional is the ability to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, must be able to communicate, must be a critical thinker, and be able to profess solution, as in, and also be very, very proactive.
Agile.
Yeah, agile, exactly.
Agile. Thank you very much. That was a good contribution. Thank you, guys. I mean, Harold, Patience, Stanley, Ichiku, you guys have really added a lot of value to this. So even people who would listen to this, hopefully some other time would have benefited from your responses. So thank you guys for sharing your experiences. We'll have a lot of that as we move. I think we will be looking at the last slide now. We still have a lot of things to talk about, but unfortunately, we will have to round up after this. So there's what we call the business analyst mindset, right? And it's a very key mindset. It applies to irrespective of where you are on the industry you work. I think after this course, if nothing happens to you, you would have learned how to approach issues differently in terms of your thought process, the techniques you'll be learning, and some of these tools you would need to apply when you find yourself in a project. Right, so there's a mindset that business analysts have, and it's important that you have that mindset. The first is focus on business, calibrate solutions to business goals. So you have to, we defined, that's why we started this class with defining what a business is, right? So you have to make sure that the business goals is in your mind, the goal of the business, of the firm, the goal of why you were employed, or why the expectations. Because let's say, for example, Harold, for example, has his business. He has expectations for his staff, or you are employed by a business and they have expectations from you. Most of us are going to have bosses we report to. So it's important that you strive to meet those goals, and look for solutions. Look for solutions. If you don't, anywhere you get it, you have to really look for solutions to any problem you face. You don't cower away from problems. You look for solutions, right? You solve the right problem, number two. So this is very funny because um, you can be solving the wrong problem and think you're solving a problem. So one of the issues of identifying needs is to solve the right problem, because when you solve the wrong problem, you're wasting time, right? So you have to solve the right problem. Question everything. Don't be timid. So I'll give you an example. It's also an experience for me. I was coming from a city like Port Harcourt. In Port Harcourt, life was a little bit more relaxed, and everything is calm, more like, so it affected the way we also think. When I came to Lagos and I met, one thing I observed about people who lived in this city was that everybody was, in quotes, smart. Everybody was up and doing. Everybody was on the move, right? And I found myself a little bit timid, or I don't know, esteem. I had probably some esteem issues. I had to really learn how to come out and ask questions. It looks very simple, right? But it might happen. I mean, it depends on where you find yourself. So one of the things you might learn is to be bold and to ask questions. There's a boss I have now. When I started working with him, he was giving me this these vibes about, when I ask questions, he sometimes he tried to make it look funny, but I would always ask. I don't care, because it's better I ask and get the direction than go do something, they go and solve the wrong problem, right? So you have to be very inquisitive. Anything you're not sure or you need clarification, you have to ask. please get that mindset. Don't be timid. Don't be shy, or don't even if you get a very wrong feedback, go again and ask again. That's the mindset of a BA. Number 2, lead and facilitate. So you have to step up. You have to be somebody who is willing to go into the front. Like if there's an issue and everybody is trying to dodge from it, if you feel you can handle it. I I was recommending a student to a company in Canada. She was one of my students in SAP, and somehow, because I saw her approach to class, I was able to defend her. I was able to. She's somebody that is always willing to step up. She's always willing to. She's not scared. She wants to know what that thing is, right? So when the company called me for, they wanted to hire her, so they needed to know some background about her. It was the point that they really found very interesting: the willingness to lead and facilitate issues. Right? It's a very, very important mindset that a BA should have. Analysis before synthesis, information before requirements. Very, very important. Before you say anything, please, before you recommend a solution, make sure you have analyzed it. Right? I will give you an example. Even in this project where I am now, my manager will always say, if a user complains, gives you a problem, let's say the business or the client says that, oh, this thing is not working. Before you say, I think it is because, no, you don't give any solution. Always have this mind of saying, let me and check it out first. Let me analyze it. Let me test it. Let me look at it. Right? Then, even though you are try not to make commitments or make statements when you are not sure. Right? Always have information before you get requirements. Before you go, that's why I said, as a BA, you don't just step out and start getting requirements. No, you have to do a lot of business analysis planning. It's part of the knowledge areas of being a BA. You have to be able to plan on how do I even get information. Like maybe one of the solutions that Harold would have used is business analysis planning. That would have helped him further. So you see this thing I'm saying, right? They do it as it's like a core activity in a project. So they do stakeholder mapping. What I believe Harold would have not missed it. So when you get into a project, the first thing is you ask the business to give you all the stakeholders, like their name, their positions. It's not a hidden thing. There are things you can ask, right? So when you get that data, the next thing you're supposed to do is, if it depends on the nature of the business. I believe Harold's own is if you're trying to identify something that is wrong, you might not have access to all the stakeholders. But if it's a project where, the stakeholders are telling you to come and identify need for us, so you can have that privilege of asking who are all the stakeholders. So they're going to give you a table of stakeholders. Then you're supposed to do stakeholder mapping. In that, you bring out all the stakeholders and look at their level of influence in this project. So at the end of the day, you come up with an analysis that says, this is the level. You see a chart that shows level of influence. Like, this is a real activity that a BA has to do and submit to the project manager. This thing I'm saying is what you would do. Probably use a tool, probably Excel or PowerPoint, and do a graph that shows level of influence. And when you do that graph as a BA, you can submit that to your product owner or to the project manager. He will now use that graph or that tool or that submission you have made to approach stakeholders. So also, you as a BA, when you're relating, you know how to manage. In fact, there are some users that, okay, I'll give you an example. This project I am in now, do you know, I have to ask, because if you're in a company where there's a lot of recommendations from high people in high places, you can even meet a small officer, but the person who brought him there is somebody very high, and it could be somebody in the board of that company. It could be somebody that is a relative to the MD. Do you understand how these things is? So you don't just go to a project and you talk to a user anyhow. No, you have to know who these users are. Even a user can frustrate you if that user's role is key. Let's say, for example, if you're deploying a finance system, the finance manager or the accountant that is supposed to be doing reconciliation, bank reconciliation, and he has a problem and you don't manage that problem well, and at the end of the month he doesn't do bank reconciliation and he points it back to you that, oh, you did not give him the support he needed, you are in a mess. So you see that as tiny as a user is in the food chain, you have to manage that user. My boss will say manage everybody. You have to. So that's the essence of identifying level of influence, and it's a very, very important. So you have to get that information before you do your requirements. That's how it works in the world of BA, right? So this what we are learning is not supposed to make you scared. It's supposed to prepare you. It's supposed to give you that edge you need, so that when you find yourself in this environment, you are very calculated and very, very professional. That's the essence of this training. Now, the next is to uncover gaps. So part of the job of a VA is to look at where there are gaps, right? So if in a process you identify that, you have gone through a business process, the business has told you what they do, the job of VA is to say, okay, I think there is a gap here. I think that when you raise invoice, we're supposed to have somebody who is supposed to approve it before it goes to that line. I think that we need to put a workflow in this place so that, so this is being agile, being proactive is part of the very important key requirement of a BA. You have to identify loopholes and gaps within a system or within a requirement and profile solutions on how to fill them up. Now, simplify until nothing can be removed. You have to break down the process as small as possible until it is at the point of no removal. So you have to simplify processes, make them as simple as possible. Take responsibility for shared understanding of business requirements. Yeah, you have to take, if you go for business requirement and something is missing, or there is a sprint that you forgot, you have to take responsibility and look for a way to manage that issue. You have to take responsibility. Very, very important. Accept and embrace business change. Yeah, within a process there could be changes in roles, in functions, even that might affect your own work. So you have to accept and embrace change. Be part of the solution. Be part of the solution. Don't run away from problems. If there is a problem you cannot solve, there are ways of going about it. Don't cower. Don't avoid it. Rather, ask people who you think knows. Do your research. Meet your manager and be sincere about this process. Even this project I'm in, there are some issues that came up. I sincerely told, because they were technical in nature. I was like, look, I don't have enough understanding in this area. Could you help me, or could you give me time to do further research on it? That's how a BA thinks. That's how you should be part of a solution. Expect human behavior from human beings. So the people you are going to be the stakeholders, right? Expect that they will mess you up. Expect that, like Okechukwu was saying, expect that one MD might just tell you, get out of this place. If he feels that you're saying nonsense. Or he might feel that if they sideline you, just expect these things from human beings. They are part of the learning curve. But always be determined to learn. Always be determined to be part of that solution, no matter what it is. I told my boss that when I was getting some kind of attitude from him, I told him that whether he likes it or not, I want to learn from this project, and I will do whatever thing necessary. And he was laughing. Yeah, I mean, some people might have taken it the other way and felt that somebody is fighting them. No, I sincerely told him that I know the kind of feedback I'm getting from you, but the truth is that I came here to learn. I came here to be part of this project, and I will not achieve it without you. So it's better you help me. He was laughing, and we now have very good relationship now. So these are the mindsets. So you have to have these mindsets, right? And learn, adapt, and thrive. I will not stop saying learn, right? I think that there is no better way of advancing, of becoming better at what you do other than learning. You have to constantly learn and constantly adapt and constantly thrive. This is a mindset of a BA. That's why I've always said that if while you're progressing at what you're doing, you have to make sure that you are not outdated, right? You have to learn. You have to look for ways to improve your knowledge, because it might just be one small information you picked out from a particular process that could really help you to come out of a challenge. That's why there's nothing you learn that leaves you the same. You have to keep learning. That's the only way to become better than yourself, the yesterday you were. Just imagine me probably 5 years back, without all this learning I've done. I don't think I would have been speaking to you here. So you see that learning is a way of advancing a human being. It's a way of pushing the human being to the next level of his life, right? Sometimes we look at the financial implication, but funny enough, learning is an investment, right? As I'm talking to you, before coming to this class, I was in a 4 hours PMP class. I'm still learning. I hope to do the certification before the end of this quarter, right? And I think that when I was in that class, what I understood was how PMP uses the traditional approach. BA uses more of the agile approach, and I'm beginning to appreciate the PMP side, right? Because BA is a little bit. BA speaks more on the agile methodology. PMP speaks more on the traditional watermark and all those other processes. But it is when you and construction, all these other engineering projects, they still use the traditional approach, right? It's best suited for that industry, But so that has given me a better approach, a better understanding when it comes to projects. So whether it's an engineering project, whether it's an agile project, whether it's a hybrid version, that exposure alone has helped me to better understand the concept of project management. So that's what learning does, right? It improves you, it adds value to you, and it just has a way of taking you a step further than where you used to be, right? So we're going to end here for this session. It's in next class, we're going to look at what are the key challenges of business analysis, and very, very important, we're going to be looking at scenarios. Like, we're going to be looking at real life problems, and we're going to see how a BA is supposed to handle some of these issues. These are real life issues. We talked about intimidating authority. And from the next class, once we are done, we're going to start our own project, and we're going to be applying the BA tools to solving those problems, right? So we're going to be looking at things like business requirements gathering. You're going to be doing these things yourself. Of course, we're going to learn how to gather information. You will now know the tool you're supposed to use for your own project. Sometimes, apart from getting information from stakeholders, there are other sources of getting information. You have the internet, you have data stores, you have Google, you have social media, So, and I'm hoping that I wish I could do something for my best. Maybe just go to social media and hype you, and because I'm trying to get. I think I got around 10,000 followers on LinkedIn some days back. So I'll just appreciate you for doing a very nice work, and hopefully, if I have to recommend you, why not? I'll do that, right? So, but the essence is, by the time you're done with this session, you should be able to see the practicability of BA and using those tools to give yourself a very, very good product. For example, we have things like the business process design. How do you use tools like the BMPN to design, to chart your business processes when you are done with doing your requirement card? How do you move from requirement gathering to charting those processes? How do you move from there to actually implementing the solution? What tools do you use? What are the requirements? What are the steps? What are the keys? So these are the things that, and as we're learning the theory, we are going to be applying it to our project. So this class now, I'm going to drop. I'm going to add some of us in the group for those who are not there. Then I'm going to drop a task, and that task we hope that by the next weekend we should come up with our own project, and we're going to be looking at. Everybody will take 2-3 minutes to show us your project, what you're going to be doing. I gave you an example. The project is about identifying a need that you feel, like we said, a process that you want to change, or a need that is within an organization and you want to improve on. So it could be like my own example. It could be like this business needs to, you start using POS. It could be that, this business, they want to change a particular service. Maybe they are using a service provider that is not good. It could be anything. So it's your choice to go. It could be something within your own organization that you're seeing. You can use that as a project, right? So we're going to come up with that in our next class. Please type it in your phone or in your laptop, because you're going to show us. That's the beginning of this class. Identify a need. So please, I'm going to also remind us, for those who are going to be continuing this session, we're going to be seeing that as we move on, right? And we'll take it up from there. Then we'll start with looking at the knowledge areas. Like I've said, business analysis planning. What do you do in planning? How do you plan for business analysis work? Then we'll look at all the tools we'll need. Then we will apply this planning to your project. Then we'll look at elicitation and collaboration. How do you get requirements? How do you elicit the requirements from the people you need to get information from? We'll apply that to our project. So I don't care how you get your information. It could be a sample, it could be internet, it could be your imagination, but just get us an information, because at the end of the day, when you're presenting it, we're going to be asking you questions. You're going to be explaining to us. Just 5-10 minutes. The essence of this training is to, at the end of the day, let's feel we learned something. Because really, when you find yourself in a real project, guys, it's not different from what you're going to be doing. They will put you in a project because there is a need. When you get there, how do you even start? Where do you even start from? What do you do? Who do you talk to? How do you identify the stakeholders? All these things are the things that you will be doing, you will learn, and you'll be. So that's, for me, what you're learning is not far. It is exactly what you're going to be seeing probably when you find yourself in this career, or when you find yourself in this role. All right. So that's the essence of this class. So guys, thank you very much. We're going to be wrapping it here. It's 10 p.m. here. So I don't know if we have any questions before we go.
Felicia, I have one. You always have questions.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Are you going to send us this PowerPoint?
Yes, I will send you this when we are. You know how I do my thing. When we are done.
Okay.
Yes, I will send you this. You're going to have it. And of course, after this, we have one that is also coming up. But I'm going to send you the video.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to send you the video so you can go through it. And remember, please get your projects, get a need in an organization that you feel you want to solve.
Yeah.
It's important. It could be anything. It could be your real job. For example, if you're employed to do something, it could be an ERP project. It could be anything within the company. It could be even recruitment. A client wants to hire. They feel their recruitment process is bad or is not giving them. They are not getting the right staff. It could even be that there's a problem. The company is always sacking, or so anything, right? Any need. Just
it could also be lack of communication also in the company, right?
That is causing
problems.
A lot of tension.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
a toxic working environment.
Exactly. When I was doing my BA, my MBA, it was a project. It was something for me because we're looking at SWOT. We're trying to apply SWOT analysis to that particular issue. So my issue was that the company we were having, the management was too. I mean, the environment was tensed. And the guy was always threatening staff with arrest and all that. So it was a problem. You don't know. And I got a very big A in that project because it was real. Like when I was explaining it, it wasn't so detailed, but it was something I experienced, so it was real to me. That's the idea. Yeah, it was the idea. So, guys, thank you very much for your time. So let's prepare for our project for the next weekend, and we'll take it up from there.
Okay. Alice, thank you very much, guys. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Harold, okay, Chiku, thank you.
I don't know what it's a stand firm. Harold. Vivian.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Have a nice evening.
All right. Have a nice evening, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.